In this video, we dive into the movie Lara Croft Tomb Raider. We will discuss the storyline, summarize the plot, and explore the cast and character. Additionally, we will cover the movie's production details and box office performance. Finally, we will provide views and share personal reactions. So let's get started. Lara Croft Tomb Raider is simply Tomb Raider. It's a 2001 adventure thriller film adapted from the Tomb Raider. The film was a commercial success, although it did not fare very well critically. As of June 16, 2010, it's no longer the highest grossing video game to film adaptations worldwide, although it's still the highest grossing domestically. The worldwide record was taken by Prince of Persia, The Sand of Time, which cost $335 million worldwide as of October 10, 2010. The film opened with Lara Croft and Angelina Jolie in an Egyptian storm, seeking a diamond at one end of a chamber. As she approaches, she is attacked by a large robot. After an intense chase and battle, she disables it by ripping out of its motivational circuit. After an intense chase and battle, she disables it ripping out. After an intense and battle, she disables it by bringing out its motivational circuit. She takes the diamond, which is revealed to be a memory card labeled, and insert its a laptop computer inside a robot. White Japanese plays music. Now it is revealed that the scene took place in practice arena in Craft's home, and that her assistant Bryce programmed a robot Simon to challenge her in a combat. It's the day of the first phase of a planetary alignment culminating in solar eclipses on that, which happen once every 5,000 years in Venice. The Illuminati search for a way to rejoin House of the Triangle, which must be done by the final phase of the alignment. Mr. Powell, an Illuminati member, makes assurances that they are almost ready, but in reality, he has no idea where to find a key. Croft's butler Hilary Grace tried to interest her in several projects, but she ignores them. May 15, as Hilary is aware, as the day that Croft's father disappeared many years earlier. She has not recovered from his loss. Since the device resembles a clock, Croft consults a clock expert friend of her father's, Mr. Wilson. She believes it's connected to the Triangle of Light. But Wilson's disavows knowledge of the clock or the triangle. It's been nearly 2 decades since Angelina Jolie played Tom Raider protagonist Lara Croft on the big screen. The lackluster performances of 2003 Lara Croft Tomb Raider, the cradle of life looked by end of the franchise. By then, Square Enix's 2013 video game Robot happened with Tomb Raider, and the 2015 sequel Rise of the Tomb Raider. New life was injected into the beloved property. Just a year later, a brand new Lara Croft movie has its theater, setting out to tell the Tomb Raider story for a new generation of film fans, with Oscar-winning Alicia Vikander in the starring role. It feels like a new franchise may be on the horizon. What makes this Tomb Raider different? For one, Square Enix had major input on the movie, with many of the plot points mirroring the video game reboot story. The role directed film also works as an audition story for Lara Croft, showing audiences who she was before battling island voice and reading ominous script. That's not to say, of course, that Lara's story does not intertwine with familiar villain from the video game franchise. Their presence is strong, informing Lara's journey from mild-mannered bike messenger to Tom riding hero. But how exactly does it all come together? Let's break down the events that helped close 2018 Tomb Raider report. Here is a Tomb Raider's ending explained. Lord Richard's craft appearances in Tomb Raider works on multiple levels, not only in his character of mystery, which is revealed in the flashback. The absence of Lara Croft's father informs who she is. Instead of following in his footsteps, Lara does her best to page her own pathway away from her family's estate. But once she is called in to sign her father's paperwork and take over the craft business. She discovers a bigger puzzle, what's saying, and that her father may still be alive. She never really know what happened, so she has not been able to mourn him. Alicia Vikander told, with the help of the clue left behind, and Richard's office hidden in the Croft Club, Lara had to be an island god. In the process, she not only find a clue she would be seeking all these years. The story of Matthias differs a bit from the 2013 Tomb Raider game. The circumstances in which Vogel arrived to the island are a bit different here. Hypertech Network explained video game Vogel was shipwrecked in 1982, and his motivations are morally grey. In a movie, Vogel is revealed as a henchman for Trinity. In the game, he has no connection to the evil corporate entity, driven instance by the 3 decades he spent on the island. Video game Vogel come to believe that Himko controlled the storm playing and that she was used ruler. He ended up believing the only way to be escape was through murdering a descendant of the Sun Queen. This came in the form of Lara Croft's friend Samantha, replaced by Daniel who's Glen in the movie, who both became his the shipwrecked on the island years later. In the film, Goggins had only been trapped on the island for 7 years, but it's long enough to be driving him mad. He's wasted his life and has missed his family. Looking for this thing that Lara Croft's father had a coordinate for, Goggins explained via IGM. His one mission was to ensure Queen Himiko tomb, but his personal motivation were much simpler: to return to the wife and daughter he left behind. This emotional component to Weigel's story helps add an empathetic layer to the character. That's what makes him such a compelling and formidable villain. The story of Queen Himiko, the Sun Queen, drives the story of the 2013 Tomb Raider video game as well as the 2018 film. However, while the Himko legend is used as a supernatural factor that drives Vigor's murderous ways in the game, Violence Storm cast Lara Croft shipwreck. The film introduced the Japanese myth as a mystery that Lord Richard Croft was investigating when he disappeared. Lara's hunt for her father not only brings her to be, it puts her face to face with Google, who reviews her arrival as his ticket home. All she has to do is open the door, something Vogel's team has not been able to do for 7 years. In the game, the legend of Himiko found her immortal soul trapped in the burnt carcasses of Hoshi, a young girl whose body was to be a new vessel of Himiko. Reuniting with her archaeologist father on is a huge moment for Lara. The discovery that Richard Croft is alive supplies Lara a sense of closure she has been yearning for. This reveal also reveals a history between the Richard and the Vogel, both seeking to be unlocked as supernatural mysteries hidden within Himiko Tomb. In 2013 game and its sequel, Croft appeared to be Laura in the cutscene, which provides a narrative component to the game, filling in the blank regarding Lara's backstory, while also pushing the plot forward. His appearances in the 2018 Tomb Raider films achieves the same thing, while also acting as a catalyst that complete Lara's auto transformation. To pass the adventure torch to his daughter, Lord Richard Craft needed to be die. Once inside Himiko's tomb, Lara and her father's fight to keep Himiko's body inside the building. But he can't stop the virus contained within the Sun Queen DNA from infecting henchmen. While Vogel is able to take a piece of body with him as he makes his escape, Richard is not so lucky. After a scuffle with one of Vogel's men, Lara's father becomes infected with Himiko zombie virus. After saying a heartful, tearful goodbye to Lara, Richard sets off an explosive to be sacrificed himself. in a process that destroys Himko keeping her infected remain from reaching the rest of the world and saving humanity as well we know it. When we meet him, Matthias Vogel is consumed by the mission that has trapped him on the island. When we meet him, Matthias Vogel is consumed by the mission that has trapped him on the island. 7 years standard portrayed by treating to protect the mysterious organization known as the Order of the Trinity as briefly referenced the 2013 video game. But as of the Tomb Raider pointed at as one aspectly nefarious group. We get a hint of their plans in the film's third act. Once Lara and her father realize twin hemocodine contain a deadly disease, one that transforms people into the ravenous zombie-like beasts. Their goal of global domination ends up being thanks to be Richard's sacrifice. But this sinister plot point offers just a glimpse of what Trinity and the lengths they are willing to go into order to gain ultimate power. It's safe that a will able bigger threat of Tomb Raider sequel is put into the motion. When Ernest are introduced to Lara Croft in the film, the notion that his 21-year-old woman will soon be traversing terrain while adding a bullet and murderous henchman seems once Croft finds her way to be he heroic places to be puzzled again begin to fall into the place. At Tomb Raider's halfway point, Lara is attacked by one of Vogel's goons, and the fight that ensues results in Lara's first kill. The emotional weight of the act is an important turning point in Lara's journey, and she is met with a similar challenge during the movie's climax. As Matthias Vogel attempts his escape from Himkodrom, Lara is hot on his trail. Vogel has the Dead Queen's disrepute finger in tow, and after he pleads is then she bosses. Thankfully, Lara stops him. This confrontation leads to a fight that's even more savage than her previous attack, with the tomb collapsing around him. Lara traps into her rage and takes him up a nose, shaving him Co's finger into Vogel's mouth before kicking him off the cliff to the fight of the zombie fight. This scene followed immediately by her leap over the precipices, utilizing her signature climbing axe to scale the tomb wall ahead. Act as a final step in her transition. The visual of her climbing from the rubbing, emotionally exhausted, yet triumphant, succeed at nailing this point home. After their heartfelt reunion and a world-saving adventure, Lara returned to be her father's company. This time, she signed the paperwork, taking on the responsibility of running the family business. It's a big step, and one chat confirmed Lara's newfound confidence as both an ecological adventurer and a confident woman to be reckoned with her father's employee Mr. and Anna Miller. At the table with her, it seems that Lara has enough support to make this movie, but at its heart, Tomb Raider is a story filled with mysterious hints that lead to be dark secret. As congratulations are handed out and Anna walked to the elevator, Crowd begins piecing together clues she found stone about her father's secret bunker. Matthias Vogel may have been dealt with, but he was just a cog in a bigger machine. And there's something about Anna's behavior that does not feel right to Laura. It's not the nature of the crowd to be ignored a bunch, which leads us to believe these will be explored in greater detail in the next installment of the franchise. Who exactly is the Order of Trinity? Why do they wait? What? Those questions are never really answered during Tomb Raider, but hints of a bigger mystery are sprinkled throughout the story. In the film's final moment, when Lara sings that paperwork, a closer connection to the realization is alluded to be there is something off about Anna Miller. Presented as a confidant to be Richard Croft and a loyal employee of Croft Holding. It seems Anna may actually have tried to be Trinity earlier in the movie. She urged Lara to keep her. Could there be ulterior motives at play here? If Miller is a connected to be big bad Trinity, the story is the next film will hopefully follow the subject matter featured in 2015. Rise of the Tomb Raider in the game Myler is not only revealed as Richard Croft, confident but also his former lover. As you may expect that she has deep ties to Trinity in the game story, and ends up being the one they talks the assassinating the Laura's father. After her heroic journey, her trip to the Devil's Sea, the battle with Matthias Wigglesman, avoiding the many Indiana Jones-style traps led within Queen Himco tomb, to name a few. Lara accepts the archaeologist's mantle and finds himself back inside her father's secret bunker. There we see her pursuing Richard's carved folder and paperwork, taking a trip back to the pawn shop she hid earlier in the film to find her trip to be Lara fled to the max. The country person whose brief appearances in the film adds some welcome levity. And right before the credit roll, we see that his job's well stocked in the weaponry department. It's quite possible. Max and his wife Pamela will equipping Lara with a tool she needs to face her next adventure. And with that, the moment which came for parents have been waiting hours to be see arrive. Lara Croft finally holding her signature dual pistol on her hand. Tomb Raider's ending make it clear that actions enjoying his began. Thrillers are some of the hardest themes to be pinned down. Their versatility is at once a trend and a bite of the conchman. This genre has been known to be encompass many other, from the legal and political to the psychological and historical at its core. Thrillers create a sense of anxiety, excitement, or urgency that engage as much as it unrolls us. Sometimes he is done with action sequences or by exposing a world of crime or espionage. Other times, thrills are orchestrated more subtly. The tensions arises within the one's own psyche or manifests in the relationship between characters. Whatever it is that creates that apprehension, however, is unmistakable to true thrill seeker and a core part of this film in one way or another. The pace of Guy Ritchie's Nash is spurred onward by the doubt, plan, and coincidental twists or fate that move it along just as reliably as the action of the character. The ensembles keep his viewer relentlessly entertained and engaged. The film's extensive cult following suggested that critics may have been too hard on the film or being too similar to be Richard's previous work. One plot focuses on a stolen diamond, and another on a heartless gangster who sucks a small-time boxing promoter into his world of the saddest violence. Together they make for a viciously funny and action-packed thriller. More than just a straightforward spy thriller, The Man from UNCLE has it emanates from its leading Joanne woman as well as Guy Ritchie's cinematic storytelling. It's set in a time period notorious for its tension, the height of the Cold War. The plot centers around a CIA agent and former professional thief who uncovers a plot to be supply intriguing enemy cells with a nuclear weapon. Like many spy thrillers, The Man from relies on the perhaps infallible but desperately thrilling idea that the fate of the world can rest in the hand of a small and highly skilled but group of the individual. What's fascinating about Civil War is that it's less about a country torn apart by ideological differences and more about the responsibility of journalists to be report on it. In the late 90s, there was a female who kicked ass and syndicated television, but it was not Tom Raider icon Lara Croft. Instead, it was Lilo and Stitch. The adventure series features Sydney as an action hero with her sidekick, Nigel Bailey, and assistant Claudia, who occasionally joined him on their global throating adventure. For the final season, Board's character was replaced by Tanja Karen, promoting the show. Lara Croft very short and muscle let's be honest. She's completely inappropriately dressed for what she does, said Carrer in a chat with a later review. That's more of a fantasy character than a real woman. She likes a Barbie doll that moves and shoots people. Sydney Fox is real. Gareth noted that she modeled her performances after different fictional archaeologists. The Lycanthrope had the advantage of beating Tomb Raider to live action, but it still ran into the plenty of competition on syndicated TV when Relay Hunter was on the airwaves were overflowing with female-driven action shows including the Cessna Warrior Princess. Tomb Raider given live-action adaptations of its own in June 2001, when the first movie starring Angelina Jolie hit theater carriers once again jokingly swatted away the idea that there was any competition. When it comes to superhero TV show, not all that glitters is gold or disaster from the X-Men. The allure of cave scroll and coverage excite the audiences, but there are times when the final execution leaves a feeling of more than marvel or marvelous it were. It might sound like an exaggeration to say this, but a less encouraged superhero property holds the potential to damage acting career and further adaptation of that character or group for a sustained period of time. So what considered a had superhero TV show? It depends. It could be the lack of the faithfulness to the source material, questionable casting, poor special effect, network interference, or below par writing. The point is that it does not work, and constant among with the recent news that Daily Planet photographer Jimmy Olsen may be getting his own TV spin-off in the DC universe. It's got us thinking not only about superhero shows that have met our expectations, but also the ones that really have not. Keep scrolling forward thinking of the 10 worst superhero TV show of all time, then drop a comment with your own picks. It is not outrageous to say that 2004's Blade Trinity is that the weakest entry in the trilogy, so much so that everyone's favorite sunglasses wearing Jay Walker probably needed a good break from the public eye afterward. But no, that is not about to happen, as Blade resurrected in 2006 Blade. The series here is not played by Wesley Snipes anymore, but by rapper Sticky, airing for one sole season. The series follows Chris the Star, Jill Wagner, who returned from military services and discover her twin brother. First off, it's a little jarring to see Blair's new hairstyle here. Yes, the character has showed off all his hair in the comic, but after Snipes spotted such a fresh out in the movie, this catches you off guard upon initial viewing. Then it's the reality check that Sticky Fingers is now Snipes in the acting department. Like Snipes' blade sat in the Deadpool and Wolverine. There is only been one blade, and it's only ever gonna be one blade. The story and action are not bad, but the show always feels like a low budget barely imitation of the movies. In 2023, the CW's Gotham Knight arrived a few months after the release of the video game of the same name. However, this story is not about Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl, or the Red Hood. Instead, it takes place after Bruce Wayne dies and his adopted son. Turner hires Harper Row, Colin Rowe, and Jola are blamed for the billionaire murder. Now it's up to be them and a few close friends to prove their innocence. Gotham Knights mixes and matches elements of the Batman to tell its own unique story, but its execution crumbled under temptation. The choice to create a brand new character and Turner hires as Bruce's adopted son is a blizzard decision. Wendy Garson's Jason Todd, Jim Drake and Damian Wayne all existed and would have been better received by fans. Maybe they were right issue or no goes on for the showrunner, since this was a strange time in the world of DC TV and movies when nothing seemed certain. Critics and fans were not too forgiving of the shortcoming of Gotham Knight, with the show hanging into a 27% critical approval rating and a 44% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Unsurprisingly, the CW cancelled Gotham Knight after a single season on a positive note. Misha Colanton as Harvey Dent deserves praise because he smashes the role out of park. and it would have been interesting to see how far he could have taken Two-Face. In the comic books, the Bird of the Prey team varies, but Hunter, Black Canary, and Batgirl have all featured as members at some point. So, in this instance, the WB's Bird of Prey did not stray too far from canon in terms of the characters utilized. The issue with the doesn't show is everything else brought around it. Bird of Prey take place in a world where Batman is no longer the protector of Gotham City. He is all now the guardians of New Gotham City are Barbara Gordon Oracle. The casting turned out to be the on point, but the problem arises in the form of the writing and the deliberate attempt to be cute in forcing unnecessarily links and changing the history of the character. For example, why did not need to be a teleport when the Black Canary character has always used as Scream instead of mystery? Maybe someone watched X-Men and wanted to create their own Jane Grey here. In addition, it's clear that Joker and Batman were never going to be major part of the story, since DC and Warner Bros. Were protective of the usage of the character. So it's always felt like a tease, but that would need to be nothing in the end. One of the best installments in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe is Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which is not afraid to be a mature and absorbing political thriller that takes a stand for and against something. The Disney Plus miniseries Secret Invasion appear to be heading in a similar direction as Nick Fury and Talos learn about a scroll master plan to be takeover Earth. Yet, this is not a clear-cut case of good versus bad, as there is a deeper history about a scroll them on Earth and promises not kept, making you question who was truly the villain of the story here. The first episode of show ends on a shocking note with the death of an established MCU character. Unfortunately, Secret Invasion fails to take off that after that, dragging along at a snail pace and forgetting what it's trying to be said. It's criminally boring when comparing it to be a comic book series from which is loosely adopted. It's like night and day, and it's not a good adaptation at all. With such a big star leading the show, and muscle of Marvel Studio behind it, you would have expected Secret Invasion to be better than this. Unfortunately, it's nothing more than a content for content's sake, feeling like a filler to be people, or until the next big MCU movie. However, even the Marvels typically in Marvel's comic, Iron first demonstrated that he is one of the best martial arts in the entire universe. You don't want to go to the toy with a Danny Rand because he will put a hurt on most people who step up to him. That's why two seasons Iron Man series is such a tragic disappointment. It's clear that star Finn John did not have much martial art training prior to be read during the show, and it comes across in weak action scenes on the series. Compounding disappointment in the fact that Lewiston, an actual martial art, appeared as Zoe in the first season of the show, auditioned to play Danny but did not receive the role. The least poor action aside, the story and characterization of Danny don't do anyone for favors here. Nothing about Disney feels interesting. Instead, the most compelling character on Iron Fist is Colin Wing. Considering the Marvel Studios incorporated Daredevil and other characters from the Netflix show into the MCU, there is chance that Iron Fist could also follow. If he does, there is a bit of work that needs to be done to redeem this character, because his show was certainly the poorest out of all the defended series. In fact, TV Line previously named it one of the worst shows of 2017. Created by Jamie and Joy Pink's Dan is not the most well-known comic book property around. The premises are simple. Police officer Jan West discovers she has superhuman healing power after she is presumed to be dead following a tragedy. She leaves behind a police force and embarrasses the way of life as Painkiller Jan. 2007 TV show follows something of a similar premises as Logan plays Dan, who joined a secret government organization to find genetically altered humans with power. The biggest issue with the painkiller Jan is that it grabs attention with a compelling setup, but it does not know where it wants to be go afterward. Instead, it stumbles around in the dark after extreme grueling and debut 22 episode single season run. Coupled with that, this is a clunky dialogue, generic sporting character, and a missing spark of chemistry among the cast members. Then there is the other problem. 2005 Painkiller Jenny movie. In this version, Jenny is a portrayed body of worker, while the film differs significantly from the show and comic book source material. In the 90s, Showtime released the TV movies based on the character Black Scorpion. They did change the course of the superhero genre. No Bajewara, rollicking a jump forward J. Writer Craig J. Nevis and producer Roger Corman decided to be revive the concept for a television show in 2001. This time, Jones did not return for the role of Drake Walker, the Black Scorpion. Black Scorpion is an updated riff on 1966 Batman, even bringing in Agent West as a villainous Battaker. Black Scorpion is an updated riff on 1966 Batman, even bringing in Agent West as a villainous Battaker. Work as a police officer, but after her father is shot. While the stillness and fun factor ended Black Scorpion, at first it becomes about too much after 22 episodes. This is another situation where a movie or two are fine, but an ongoing series becomes too tedious to sit through. Instead, the campy concept loses its initial appeal and magic. Ever get a feeling that you are watching a show that was meant to be something else? That's the Mutant X experiences. 2001 and 4 show a center around Adam Glen, who created a safe haven for mutants to learn how to control their power and find others like them. In this mutant extreme, there are mutants who are telepathed, can control electricity, have feral qualities, and possess the ability to bend light. It's not this all sounding like the X-Men. As it turned out, 20th Century Fox saw the same thing and used the companies behind Mutant X, including Marvel, citing the show's in egregious similarities to the X-Men material, which Fox held the right to the end. The lawsuit was settled between the parties, but everyone can see right through Mutant X. It's nothing more than the X-Men rip-off. Limitations might be most sincere from a flattery, but it's hard to be blunt here. Who is Nightman? Good questions. He is a little known and superhero created by Steve Englehart and Rick Soberg in the 90s. Bizarrely, this character received his own live-action series that ran for two seasons between 1997 and 1999. Nightman introduces jazz musician Johnny Domino, who gets struck by lightning. He does lose his ability to sleep, but he is able to tap into a supernatural frequency in which he can sense evil thought with no time to be needs to sleep. He puts on special suit that gives him extra ability and becomes Nightman, a superhero who stops the bad guys before they commit the crime. Let's be real here for a second. The late 90s were not good time for comic book properties. No one took them to be seriously, nor was there any serious investment in the properties from television's network. That much is evident and Nightman. The costume is not good, looking like it's a cable together from other superhero appeared, bought from Jamo. And if there is not enough money to design a decent outfit, then you should know what to expect from the special effect. It would be nice to say the acting and story markup for the other areas that are lacking here, but no. This is a major all-around dude that sits strictly for behind Nightman. In 2000s, Marvel Comics invested a lot more time and effort into the Inhuman. There was a feeling that the group could become the next big thing in the MCU, especially after the Inhumans vs. X-Men series. Natural excitement built as Marvel Studios also announced an Inhuman movie. Since the X-Men were out of bounds at the time, there was a belief that any humans could take their place as a superpowered team of the MCU. The film was quickly pulled and turned into a TV show, but no one saw this as bad news when they saw talent like Anson Mount, Ryan Johnson, and Lon Brion attached to play members of the Inhuman royal family. Then the show hit the airwaves. For one, the CGI and costumes look over-budget, a surprise considering how Dutch character in the comic possesses incredible power. So that aspect should have gotten a little more money allotted. To make matters worse, the focus of Inhumans is scattered. Remember, these characters were relatively unknown to the average audiences, and the show introduces and tries to do too much before the reviewer even understand who Joy are and why do what they do. Lara Croft is short and a muscle T. Let's be honest, she's completely appropriate properties just for what she does, said Gary in a chat with a little review. That's more of a fantasy character than a real woman. She's like a Barbie doll that moves and shoots people. Sydney Fox is real. Carrier noted that she modeled her performances after a different fictional. I was an Indiana Jones fan like crazy, she recalled. I wanted to be Harrison Ford, and I am so happy that I am now. Relay Hunter had the advantage of beating Tomb Raider to live action, but it still ran into the plenty of competition on syndicated TV. When Relay Hunter was on, the airwaves were overflowing with female driver action show including Xena Warrior Princess. Tomb Raider got a live-action adaptation of its own in June 2001, when the first movie starring Angelina Jolie hit theater. Tia Carriers once again jokingly swatted away that idea that there was any competition. Me and Angelina, these tattoos kind of scare me, said Carrier on the big breakfast. In the shock twist, the new Lara Croft film is derivative. Intriguingly, varies the film of shameless depth to be Indiana Jones. Batman and James Bond and the Angelina Jolie are not in this one's canon of inspiration. Taking its lead from the reboot to video game franchise Underworld back in 2013. Whether it's a justifiable critique or unfair journalistic convenience, wisdom tells us that films based on video games do not work. Perfectly sporting that theory, 2001 rubbish Lara Croft Tomb Raider remains one of the most successful adaptations of the medium to date. A recent trend in Hollywood has seen the like of this justice in a typical Hoquiam opening drawn away from the mummy. The voice of Lord Richard Croft and exceedingly dull Dominic West, that tale of Kimiko. The mythical king who was said to be have power over life and death. So far, so silly. Except then cuts to be boxing ring and some bare knuckle fighting between a new Lara and an equally buff oppo who wins. The message is clear. We can tell Lara is mercifully a more fallible, grounded and less late and a later clad posh girl with attitude that characterized Saida Jolie here. Just in case this was not clear, Lara will later declare, I am sorry, I am just not that kind of craft. How far you can sympathize with a woman who chose to be struggle through a hip low life rather than the exile from father's massive manor. House and base fortune very much depend on your willingness to accept that her idyllic childhood was not so, and disappearances of the father's logic 7 years earlier has left her scared. Needless to say, it's not long before Lara accepted her Disney and is being handed a Japanese puzzle box by Wasted Rag, as was the great in her father's will. Front and center, Vikander has always been a welcome screen presence, but continues a dubious run out of role here. The problem is not that she cannot take action, the comedy or the drama. In many ways, each of these is an ace in her hand. No, the problem is not Vikander. It's a Lara, a character who has literally no distinguishing personality. Well, it's terrific that Lara is no longer defined by her ample bosom and posh accent. There is precious little else to her. What still, as she provides an avatar of reaction, it's hard now to escape the understanding that she is actually. In the last 30 years, video games were notoriously difficult to properly adapt it for big screen, at least in a manner that would satisfy their game original fan. Even when some of those films succeeded at the box office, that triumph proved to be fleeting and the reputation of such films sank very quickly. The film is based on Tom Raider's series of action-adventure game featuring protagonists in the form of young gun-toting, big-breasted British woman Lara Croft. It took only a few years and fewer titles in the series for Lara Croft to become one of the most popular characters in the gaming world. At a time still dominated by teenage male, as such it was nature for six example of the gaming world by played with one of the Hollywood's greatest example, Angelina Jolie. The plot began when Lara Croft, adventurer specialized for finding precious artifacts in ancient tombs across the world, finds one such artifact in her home. The artifact was left there by her father, Lord Richard Croft, 15 years ago, shortly before he would disappear. It turned out that the artifact is part of the talisman that allows its owner to be controlled. Talisman can be used only during a very rare constellation that occur once in 5,000 years. Since constellation is about to occur very soon, Illuminati secret society that wants to be controlled the world became interested in Lara. Her home is targeted by the mercenaries who steal the artifact. Lara is however determined to find the remaining artifact and travel to different parts of the world to obtain it before Illuminati and thus prevent a global catastrophe. Lara Croft Tomb Raiders represent pleasant surprise, but only to those who expected the worst from it. There were reasons for such pessimism, mainly because of the actor Simon West, whose previously record was not exactly stellar, and who gave him bad publicity by publicly quarreling with his scriptwriter. In Tomb Raider, he employed MTV style of directing, based on rapid cuts and emphasized on CGI, saturated action scenes at the expense of the plot and character. Although hardly anyone expected much depth for a film based on a video game, a medium that was more primitive in late 1990s than it is now. The rest of cast is mostly solid, specifically Chris Berry, actor famous for playing Arnold Rimmer in popular television series Red Dwarf, and who is here very good in the role of Lara's butler Hilary. Daniel Craig is also assumed to be have fun playing American mercenary Alex West, whose character is the most complex in the film. Berry and Craig are responsible for a few bright moments that make Lara Croft Tomb Raider watchable in the end, despite poor review. Public flocked to the theater thanks to Jolie's star power and Tomb Raiders. I am pretty sure that over the years I have tried a few times to watch these films and never actually succeeded. However, when going back through Daniel Craig's back catalogue of films that I have eventually watched this full film, thinking back to the video game, I actually just like the training part in her garden, with the different approaches to be climbed on rather than the actual game. Anyway, the film is not all that great at all, and the time it was certainly made for the teenage boys who adore the character in the game, and certain aspects were tailored for them with Jolie in that leading role. The thing is that it could have actually been a lot more entertaining and interesting. I guess it's some of what we got for action adventure film in the late 90s and early 90s, making you think of the companion to the Mummy and National Treasure. Lara's father Richard Croft was long missing and presumed to be dead, but when he appeared to her in a dream, This is about to be start of a series of events that she cannot help but be drawn to. The strange clock hidden in the manor is the start of everything. When Manfred Powell sees photos of the clock and claims they cannot identify it, but it did not then does not take long for it matter to enter her house and attempt to steal it. Everything that happened from this point is part of puzzle, which they must crack in order to be revealed the secret of the clock and tomb. It does have some anxiety-inducing moment which has to be plus that it managed to be create then atmosphere. Angelina Jolie does her best with a poor role. It's not an easy one to be taken, it is for sure. She had a much-needed sex appeal that came from the game. I know it feels very strange saying that about a game, but it really did have a very strange fan base and love from men. Danny Craig with his American accent is decent enough, and an action role giving a glimpses of what is Bond would become many years later. I actually did not remember Lane Glen being into either. You have to give the first big screen outing of Tom Ryder credit at least the casting was spot on. Also, a polygon woman hardly pointed studio in the direction of a real life actress. Casting Angelina Jolie was a savvy move, and one that started to show that the studio understood what was required to make this adaptation of the blockbuster's video game franchise work. Unfortunately, like many video game movies, it did not quite translate the way you would draw, but maybe that is not the studio fault. Maybe it is just that Lara Croft's Tomb Raider is not actually that suited to being a movie. There is little story to her early adventure. It is lot of walking around the same and sand-colored creatures until you stumble across a puzzle. So with little of actual substance coming from the game. It is not surprising that the studio went with an Indiana Jones ripoff and a poor one at that. So we have a heroine who is an archaeologist who trains with a super robot and has a hacker sidekick to attempt to be offer poor comic relief. She is up against the Illuminati in an attempt to stop them getting some random MC girlfriend that will make them unstoppable. It is hardly inspiring stuff and is offer nothing new. Jolie is very good in all the action sequences and plays a convincing adventure. From swinging on relaxes to shooting her twin pistol. The less said about her English accent the better, but at least it is not as bad as Daniel Craig's American one. The villain is Game of Thrones Illuminati Glen, and he slots nicely into the cookie cutter British villain that always seems to be emerged when what domination is up for grab. The set pieces are well staged, but hardly anything new. Jolie is good at swinging from Rhapsody Dispatch villain to using her environment to destroy a stone monster or climbing up ancient, moving relaxes. It is all very samey and hardly exciting, even when the attempt to was softly began to emerge. It is same stuff Harrison Ford was doing with Sean Connery back in the late 80s. The fact that it's led to be a sequel is impressive and as video game movies go. It is one of the better ones, but it is not any high accolade. Jolie is great as a kick-ass female, but she is also doing that in better movie with Salt or Mr. and Mrs. Overall, Lara Croft Tomb Raider is a decent attempt. What would you do if you do looked at Angelina Jolie had a millionaire bank account and could say magical powered ancient status? Probably be a sexy archaeologist with a less than happy background too. For those who haven't played a video game in the last 20 years, you may have missed a staple of the platform adventure genre, Tomb Raider. Its protagonist, a woman named Lara Croft, has a penchant for Saturn and finding treasure. So it is with the first theatrical vision of that game, 2001 Lara Croft Tomb Raider. As is typical for titular star, we are going to be get straight to the point. Lara Croft is not good. Despite the overwhelming aura of his blade of streaking, Jolie Lara Croft fails to be appeal to anyone other than die-hard fan. Now let's get to be achieved. Caveat. I am a die-hard fan. I would had a most amazing silly time watching this movie. When the plot started introducing standard of mysticism and time travel. But as I progressed through the plot, we jumped from action to be mystery to horror back to never-ending action sequences that hid in awkward sequel tension. I could not help but be amused. I can't assign my feeling to any particular scene or sequences when it comes to be down to it. I just enjoy seeing Lara Croft beating the smart right out of her opponents call me a feminist. As you may have figured with a diverging element Bob, I am totally at odds with how to be think of this movie. The premise here is that Lara is doing head to be head with a movie villain, Manfred Powell, in a globe-trotting adventure to discover a mystical clock capable of allowing its owner to travel through tough time. Quite a price, right? Of course, it's not as simple as a heroine and a bad guy dueling it out among ancient, brought to life guardian status. There is character building, emotional undercurrent running throughout the director Simon West movie. The first revolves around the death of Lara's father, Lord Croft. His death is still a mystery, which is eating away at Lara. Some moments are evocative. Little of the storyline is presented to us, which is a shame, considering Jolie and real-life father-daughter drama. The other current is more traditional and involves a complicated love story. Lara's former lover and rival, Alex West, has joined the fray, trying to solve the mysteries of the clock for Powell and a secret called the Illuminati. The attention serves little purpose, but it does have a comedic moment. In the end, the story is not what's important in Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. It's really portrayal of a beloved video game hero, and spot on, sexy and smart. This Lara leaves us smiling and rooting for her as she jumps from towering height and battles seemingly impossible odds. Still, it's not enough to save the ridiculous story from its own sense of grandeur or from time-altering forces of the universe, whichever. Breaking down a movie like Lara Croft Tomb Raider is very easy. It's a bad movie. It features the occasional well-done action scene and Angelina Jolie is nice to look at. But that's all there is to it. I have heard people try and argue that Lara Croft Tomb Raider is a movie too bad that is good, but that is not the case. This is not a character that could have been used as a strong female lead and Hollywood gave us this. Don't believe anyone who tells you Lara Croft. Tomb Raider is anything but bad. That's all it is. It does not speak to female empowerment. It is not funny. It is not action packed. It's a dull, tedious affair with a plot that is idiotic beyond what any human being should be willing to accept. Lara Croft Tomb Raider is a mess of a movie that tries to get by on that idea of ogling Angelina Jolie for its runtime with an action scene thrown into the mix every now and then. To keep it simple, avoid this movie, especially if you watch movie looking to actually be entertained. There was a time, as in the mid-90s, when Lara Croft was solid gold in terms of her popularity and media saturation. A creature who had managed to be transcend the fact she was a fiction video game character and transferred into a mainstream icon. Sadly for her, the subsequent sequel to the original Tomb Raider game gradually ruined the forward momentum generated in that era, and a slow downward spiral would ensue until the release of the rebooted Tomb Raider in 2013. Of course, before all of the virtual Tomb Raider movie starring Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft. The plot of this first movie is pure garbage, even more far-fetched than those that featured in the video game. The alien plot from the original Tomb Raider game included the reason for Lara and the bad guys raiding the tomb. In this instance, starred in within an ancient involving planetary alignment. It's this that brings together both adventure Lara Croft, villain Manfred Powell, and fellow Tomb Raider Alexis. They are clearly targeted toward a rabid fanboy. Lara clambering into the shower being just one of them. But for the most part of this is Indiana Jones for the iPod generation. A whistle stop toward soda relics left by ancient civilization and a story that does not care so much for the history provided there is opportunity for something to explode for Angelina Jolie to put at the camera. Simon West acted with all the server of a post-90s action director, when inevitably means that is primarily style our substance. In that respect, it's turned out to be dissimilar from the many other action films released during this era. There's a lot going on despite a warfare chin narrative. But all the noise and CGI can only disguise this as a point. Daniel Craig rocks up reborn with a painful American accent as Alex. He does at least look like he's enjoying himself playing a male version of Lara with less circup. It would have been better for him to be use his native accent. On the more positive side, Chris Bay is a host as Lara's faithful butler, a less uptight, unrolled rhymer in a smart suit, and Lane Glen as a villain Manfred Powell. You can tell he's bad guy because he's both English and dresses entirely in black. Excuse of a perfect level of slimming charm. Seriously, the man should be in absolutely everything ever made. In hindsight, perhaps Jolie is not the best choice for playing Lara Croft, but then at the time, it's hard to be think of anybody else who may have been suitable today in a post-Tomb Raider reboot era. There are a few more potential actresses to choose from, and given no keen Hollywood to reboot everything, these days it would be interesting to see how they would approach casting her now. Today, the film charm of the bubblegum level of the impulsiveness, but in the grand history of cinema, is said to be considered as a cult favorite and nothing more. Angelina Jolie is a woman who made this movie worth watching. My ho, she is a hot woman, and she pulls off the role as Lara Croft well. In fact, she is the best thing in the movie. She is great portraying the character of Lara Croft, giving off a great sense of beauty and grace while showing great boldness and in battle. But man was blowing long-awaited adaptation of the game disappointing. How do you have a pitch perfect actress play the role and then offer to reward for fans that have been waiting for this year? I can even forgive the fact that Jolie is not even British. Tomb Raider, to a full Indiana Jones fan, is such a bold adaptation that I don't really know where to start. First of all, the premise is very brave compared to the plot from the game. Where are the mercenaries? Where are the spices? Where are the top secret locations? Where are the lions and tigers? They are nowhere to be found in this lame version of the game. The fight choreography is dazzling and really exciting to watch. I will be honest, the action is great as well. Jolie can pull off the action scene well and make them look very believable. It's just a sad state of the film that excitement is very rare in this movie. What are the filmmakers saving the action for anyone? When we do see any action, the big scenes are cut very short, not giving us enough chance to absorb in and exciting. For example, the status battle in the final, now if executed well and landed to a tolerable degree. This could have been a great finisher, but if failed, the status are slow and easily eliminated and are only around for a total of a minute and a half. Also estimated, then Lara accidentally frees this secure status who willed for sword. I expected a long stomp and smash moment, but we got less. Lara easily estimated of it making the sun relatively pointless and dull. It seems Simon West did not put much thought into the action. Too bad, because he robs us of seeing a potentially truly great action flick. There was some scene that made it sulky and corny at times, which made me disconnect from the film. For example, the scene where Lara is riding the dog sled on her feet. That was not only cheesy and hokey, it was also far-fetched. All in all, considering how far from the game the actors Simon West in tone and pacing, just take to the game for true action folk. Now that I'm also doing review TV and film based on video game, a couple of movies could not be missed. The Tomb Raider films Lara Croft Tomb Raider and Lara Croft Tomb Raider, the cradle of life, some of the earliest live action video game movies out there. Number 7 and 9 respectively going by Wikipedia. It makes sense that the Tomb Raider movie came to be early. The series was one of the most popular game series in the late 90s, early 2000s after all. While I now count myself as a Tomb Raider fan, I never watched these films before. The most I saw were some previews and half a scene once a while zapping channel. The scene discussions was Angelina Jolie descending from the roof shooting at bad guys with those twin pistols of her. What surprises me is that it was quite a struggle to get this movie to the silver screen. The screenplay was worked on by five different writers before director Simon West came on board. He took over the project when the original director got booted, which might have been a woman. West himself got a say during post-production, and his original 130-minute cut was thrown in the bin only to be rehired to do some reshoot that must have been quite a gag. And that's not all, folk. The funding of the film may or may not have come from a combination of German and British tax scheme involving tax reduction and reply. So yeah, there's that too, I guess. Without further ado, let's talk about a nearly 25 years old original Tomb Raider's movie starring Angelina Jolie and see what this film is all about. When Lara is awoken by a ticking sound, she finds that a clock hidden in a secret room has suddenly spring into action. Hidden here by a missing father, the clock is supposedly connected to an ancient and powerful triangle artifact. Hoping to learn what truly happened to her father, Lara sets out on a journey that brings her from Cambodia to Siberia to uncover both pieces of the triangle. But of course, Lara is not the only one looking for the triangle. Her quest for answer turned into racing against the clock to keep its power out of the hands of some very nefarious people. The plot here is a pretty standard for an action adventure film. An ancient artifact hidden in the pieces. A secret society bent on using said artifact of horrible. Also check. A father who went missing under suspicious circumstances. Yet another check. The story writing is not the greatest, but I would not call it bad either. It's serviceable, does the job. It's predictable and a bad cheesy yes. And they push far into the sexy Lara, but he never found a film crying on boring. It does exactly what it advertised. Be a breezy action adventure movie without many bell and whistle. You notice this is about in editing which favor quick cuts and that an end scene as soon as possible. And in the character. Most of our cast, including Lara, lacks depth and meaningful arc. Lara certainly is not someone to mess with. She is a capable woman. And Angelina Jolie can definitely carry the film. If you are looking for more personality, for example, you will be left disappointed. There is this attempt at a romance between her and a fellow archaeologist that feels superficial, more like a plot device for the conclusion than an actual relationship. Speaking of Angelina Jolie, I always ever known her as a big movie star. I was surprised to be learned during my research that Tomb Raider is a widely considered to be the film that turned her into that movie star. This little factor made me even more interested to see this movie. There has to be a very good reason why Tomb Raider was the flick that led to be her big breakthrough, right? Well, as you probably already guessed, there is a reason one I did not see it. Yes, Angelina puts in a solid performances and prove she can do action and do it convincingly. I just don't think she does anything noteworthy. It's a very much of what you see, what you get performances. One without much depth or none. Now that. I am on this train of thought, several side characters are forgotten by the end or only serve as moving part for action scene. The only season I remember them is because of their actor. Maybe in 2001 Angelina Jolie and her father John, as Arun's second father Richard Croft made a known face. But 20 years later we have a lot more recognizable faces here. Daniel Craig, James Bond as that fellow archaeologist and romantic interest. Lange Glen as our Save and Guy. Even Keith Perry Arnold Dreamer has his first movie here as Lara's faithful butter. Okay, understand that Red Dwarf is not on the same level as James Bond or Game of Thrones, but I like it. I did not expect them to be show up, but I was pleasantly surprised when they did. This may or may not have been the result of that tax game I was talking about earlier. One of them went at some UK filming and very structured to be in the film. Once again, I disgraced doubt. This is a dosy bit of trivia, but not one I am qualified to really dig into. Regardless of how it came together, this casting worked well. They all turned into good performances, doing the best with the writer by the numbers the script they were given. Plus, it gives the film more star power these days. It is not a great film, but it contains more than a few entertaining bites. It's able to hold itself together and its potential. But every few minutes there is something that blazes. There is not much that is actively awful, but plenty that's mediocre. Essentially, this is a perfect film for Sunday afternoon and a forgiving mood. Despite the shortfall of the script Jolie visible, puts in a lot of effort to play Lara Croft. There really is not a need for them to do anything further. To an extent that means much of the cast is wasted. Lane Glen, Daniel Gray, and John White deserves much better than what they get. On the other hand, it is debatable how much they all need to do. This is a film with low ambition, to be honest, and while the ingredients are there to make something innovative and exciting, the actor Simon West simply is not that interested. That is frustrating because we know what is he capable of better. His 1997 action film Con Air is busy, loud and ridiculously over the top, and if a medium of that film's energy and self-awareness had been applied here, Tom Raider would have popped off with a screen. Instead, it feels pedestrian. It stayed beneath the shadow of Steven Spielberg's Raiders of the Lost Ark, still very much the high-water mark of the archaeological adventure. Every film of this kind is at their default. For a film like Stephen Summer The Mummy 1999, which predated Tomb Raider who 2 year, the solution was to stay well within the limit of Raider's shadow and play heavily on nostalgia. In the case of Tomb Raider, there is immediately a clear desire to step beyond the shadow and offer something aggressively new. The problem is that no one on the production seems to have a valid idea what the new element is. The film is set in the present day, for sure, but still is a ruined temple within half an hour or so fighting the supernatural. Julie was born to play Croft as surely as Bob Destiny was pixelated Blumber Mario, and Jolie does not just look the part. All 2 months of training had given her a week of psychic and the sport perhaps she acquires herself well in the furious fight scene and frantic action set pieces. Unfortunately, kick-ass brawling skill and hodger, like a dead heat in a Zeppelin race to not a good movie, even when the MacGuffin is discovered. It takes a while to get into gear, and with a later glad Jolie roaring around London on a motorbike, imagined action room, and roughly bad at laugh offices, the impression is that we are in for the Avenger all over again. It's not that bad, of course. Back at the range, Lara is surprised by a cadet of baddies. What follows a blazing gun battle with the protagonist swinging around a vast chamber. It's as good summer, but the film out and the eye candy zone becomes predictable. Exotic locations, Cambodia, Venice, Iceland are present and correct. and there is a half-hearted stab at romance between Jolie and Daniel Craig's rival adventure, who may be a bad guy land. Conspicuous by its absence is a narrative spark, bright enough to be engrosses you. Nature save Lara is there anyone to give a damn about. It's grinning obvious from the outset that insect villain Glen is no match for Lara, and his cute adversarial dynamic and rendered the traditional jeering and booming. Surely, a staple of the genre rather redundant. They let Angelina Jolie keep doing things after this movie, which is good for her. The movie opened with Lara Croft sitting in a big boat. She has a comedic assistant that makes jokes. He made a robot, I guess, or whatever. Daniel Craig and AG's dad are actually in the movie as well. Poor choices all around. Homes are raided, hearts are won, and then broken. It's a video game movie. It's not good. I think there is like time travel on it. She fires a sick-armed status at one point. Classic Raider of Toms, none of this is important. You know what is important, bees? The bees are vanishing at an alarming rate. You guys, there is bumblebee that is on the endangered species. All these pesticides we are using the making them get lost and die and stuff. So you know that happened to us if the bees die. You guys, we die. We need those little champion. Now you may be thinking to yourself, but what can I do it help out the poor bees that are always flying around, keeping us alive without asking for anything in return? Yourself will not have the answer you seek because you are not even thinking about the bees before I brought it up. You only care about yourself. Pour drinks out of your bees have thirst. It's true. Putting a little saucer of water in your garden will keep Mad Joe's head hydrated. The bees look a little listless and warm, like they have been taking call in a call center a day. Throw a little vodka in there, take the edge off bees or people too. Let the bees know you appreciate them. More often than not, we don't even say thanks for the honey and also helping to continue the horror show that is human existence to the bees, which can really load and moral if we only give them attention when they sitting us. They what kind of precedent does that set? What I would recommend doing is the next time you see a bee in your garden, you hop in your car, drive on down to the Hallmark store, and you get that bee a card. It doesn't have to be an expensive card, something simple and tasteful, work fine. Remember, bees love fun, so if you find a card that says something like, be all day you can be, I bet it will knock the socks off. If you don't have money for bee card, simply walking outside every 15 minutes and yelling, great job, this will also work. Continue this practice deep into the night, as your neighbor may have fallen asleep and forgotten to thank the bees, and your yelling will serve as a helpful and reminder. Give bees cues. I don't think I need to be explained to you now how to hug a bee. We are adults. Just be careful, because they are little fowls, and it's easy to take their little bread away with your big strong arm. Stop using pesticide on your garden plant. Do you use a pesticide and vision to keep those tomatoes red and shining? Cool, man. That's awesome. You know what's not so awesome? Being a big special snow lake over here once brought Dad's camera ready at the cost of the thousands of the little lamp. How do you sleep at night? Better questions. Once me and people like me save all the bees and they overrun the planet. What will you say? What you stand trial for your crime? Will you regale the bee tribunal with how great your cucumber looked? Will you look into the compound eyes of their family? Will you confess your sin? What if you get to be heaven and God is a big owl? What am he? What am you skin me? As I am sure we are all aware, there are countless spells and incantations out here that can change your form. There is one like in particular that originated from the wishes of Selm. I would recommend using this one because it only calls for 10 human feet, where most call for at least 20. I can't tell you the express spell. Since aside from the teeth, a lot of the other elements change from person to person. You just need to be asked your own reflection in the mirror for the recipe when the blood moon is high in the sky and the yellow and bud in the tree outside sing its final note. By the end of the ritual, you will pop like a balloon and swarm of bees will be left in your stead. You all bees know, and there are few creatures nobler. Last week decided to revisit the Tom Raider film, the first to a guilty prayer of mine. I watched the movie via Blu-ray, the UK region free release from Paramount. It contained several extra. All of which were on the original DVD release back in the day. It's a shame there's no new extra, but that's because they included extra. Lara Croft Tomb Raider The Great Battle of Life does not contain extras at all, which seems odd, because they would have been included the original DVD extras as well. It contained the following extra: audio commentary by director Simon Wessel, digging into the Tomb Raider, featuring the crafting Lara Croft featuring the movie stars Angelina Jolie, Glen, Daniel Craig. I remember when this first came out at a cinema, I had a choice of seeing this or Jurassic Park 3, so I chose Jurassic Park 3. And all the time, I was glad that I did, especially after I said it took a while for me to be fully appreciate it. It's not a perfect movie, in fact, it's not necessarily a good film, but it's a fun film. It has very little going on with its dialogue, even plot-wise. It's not very deep, but it's a highly entertaining and that's the main thing. It's so easy to be just switch your brain off and let your movie take you in if it's fast paranoid. Angelina Jolie was born to play the role that just looked the part, especially considering how the character looked like back in the day. There is some great action sequences, a good amount of the special effect still hold up pretty well, and I think I enjoy more with every watch. It contains moderate violence 3/2 out of 3. He won't kill her about. She will hang dongs from hell like nobody's business, and she has huge tracts of land. She is essentially Indiana Jones' lost sister, but her past come back to behind her, as clear as her father Julius' real-life father. Blood for her to be fine come to blood. You see, there is a shadowy group of the conspirators who have been waiting for thousands of years for a conjunction of all land planned as well as a solar eclipses. The primary worry with this film was the casting. Could Jolie pull off a live-action Lara accent and all? Well, here's the good news: she doesn't have Shakespeare. The accent, the board, the kicking, and British accent. The words are there, but that and its occasional quip from our good trailer are all the film has going for it. Because everything else, every brief trace of fun or action, has a life sucked out or by and just plain stupid plot. Don't get me wrong, I like mindless action as much as the next caffeine frack. But this film does not just want you to turn your brain, it wants you to take dropkick in your neighbor's backyard swimming pool. In fact, based on the character setup for us in the first half of the film, the second half of the film just flat should not even take place. Character motives are inconsistent and I hate myself for saying it, but a gracious talk seen in the high point of the pieces. Can it really be that bad? Well, yeah, there are two extended sequences with large home size puzzle that must be figured out in exactly the right way. And I can't say it for them is a cool enough but they play out in the silliest way. See if you are agree with me that a huge model of this solar system is sad at what looked to be a fairly fun action flick is nothing but unimpressive shit. Notice that the killer's robot name is Simon. and the evil Tomb Raider's name is West. Take the clue as to be true source of evil in the film, and stay away. And for God's sake, why was the line "You are the Tomb Raider" said even once, much less multiple times? Lara Croft is a she whims like a airport. She wields handguns for hell like nobody's business, and she has huge tract of land. She is essentially Indiana Jones' lost sister, but her past come back to be haunt her. As clues her father Jolie's real life father, left for her to be found come to blood. You see, there is a shadowy group of conspiration who have been waiting 5,000 years for a conjunction of all 9 planets as well as solar eclipses. It's all the same that ancient advances can be found and used for good or evil. The primary worry with his film was the casting. Could Jolie pull off a live action Lara accent and all? Well, here's the good news. She does it in spades. The action, the board, the butt kicking and British accent. The words is all there, but and the occasional quip from our good trailer are all the films as going it. I'm going to work backward and compare it to the 2018 movie since I saw it first. For this one is a lot more to cover over. Compare shooting a robot in a tomb on a wire to wrestling and riding a bike for the opening scene. 2018 was okay. In fact, I would say it's either as good as the one just because of the action, or it's better. I even gave them the same amount of star. I loved Weekender as Lara and I liked Jolie as Lara, even if it would be cool to see Olivia's Wilde or movies, but each does good with their respective version of the characters compared to Big Game. The movie is pretty hated, but I would not go as far as to say it's the worst video game movie. I saw it was sitting between a 5.5 and 5.9 out of 10. I would agree with that. That's an exaggeration, but it's pretty dated. Easy to tell where the budget goes and does not go. The scientist character, Bryce, has a catchphrases burger, really annoying but really cheesy. Whether you look like it or not, but songwriter, that's just not always a good thing. Think about how the trains is to be. It does not play out of the same way. I think there is a small chance you can make it work, but chances are slim nonetheless. And where do they get the end of the world? Stars are line. Illuminati plotlines from the game are guilty of this too. I'm just saying it matter more here because you are not actually playing it. Jade, I'm just saying it matter more here because you are not actually playing it. There are few things that you could say. It being loyal to the game when it does not have to be. It does not translate well, and I don't think Tom Raider over will unless they change it. Indiana Jones has some pretty obscure stuff and they make it work. Now the ending. Let me start by saying the villain is really dumb. Both movies have that in common, but taking a knife and flipping it around in midair does not mean that the force goes the other way. You're just going to hit with a hilt that didn't end up blade. So just kind of happened in the sense. The sense is compared. Cambodia looked like it was a big cue for the final battle. I was like, alright, that was wild. Then I realized it was only halfway through. Luckily, the pace picks up so it does not drag after that. Just caught me off guard. It's better to have an exploring multiple tomb. Anyway, it even said that there were 2 pieces, but I just assumed that a clock was one of them and the other one was in the temple. Goes to Cambodia and meets a random monk. You know, my father goes to the Russia. Little girl talks about her father. It's one of those reminds you that she had had a father every 5 minutes and everybody knew him. They explain that he made his last search before his death, but still, it's a rich. The flashbacks they used to show him are very poor. They show the frame rate down, not the footage, the frame rate. I actually thought something was wrong with it, but then I realized that it was only when John was on screen. I forget how fun it is to just jump up and get on as Lara because you can't run in this game, so you find convenient ways to bounce around. I have heard all this acclaimed, but it's never really cared to be played. I even saw the movie based on it, was not fan, but luckily actually being in a moment and experiencing it better than some of the sequences of the movie. And here, the story is actually a little bit different here. It's a shame nobody murdered in a Alicia face or a thought. It's produced of its time for sure, and the complaint I have about this franchise is it's need to be make it about end of the world, but then I started thinking of source material Indiana Jones. In a way kind of shows that. Maybe not a whole world, but it never really seemed that way to me when I am watching it because that's never really his mission. It's just to get a artifact and put in a museum. Maybe that's where this series goes every sometime, is that it dives into much with Lara herself. My dad was after this villain is trying to get it. Maybe she's a hero, maybe she is not, but I'd rather say it be a circumstantial decision that she makes when faced with it rather than chasing people down to keep it out of their hand. The movie was about her dad. This one is not start from being about reviving an old TV show by discovering him goes storm but quickly slip when the ship crashes. I know this was considered Lara's beginning with her first journey, but I did not realize this is something for her character too. I am not sure how to feel about it because it is tries to make it seem as she has never seen action and is more or less playing just with what she is read in the book. A guy frightened and running around trying to find her friend to help her and get her out of this mess. Part of me would say that's logical, but the other part would say that Laura would not back down easy. It's not an escape road for her. It's a journey and adventure. And the other part make me argue what kind of training her father gave you to show whether she was ready for this or not. She even talks of it. It is in a nicely cinematic tone, so I can't complain too much. Whereas it's not her first journey according to the logs you pick up, but it's on the wiki, but it's complicated itself anyway. Because yeah, Lara is essentially everyone's hero as she's the survivor, and all above, but it goes far. Oh, I am a beauty. I can't do that. This. I wish I was more like you. She grew from it, but I just wasn't feeling it. Della could use a punch, but all in all, I was not impressed with the story either. Granted, I am not a fan of cult stuff, as is usually. It was a cult all along type of thing. Why there's so many other things you could do with that, but it actually start out promising with a triangle strap up with Himiko, the queen bringing Hira to be those who there enter, but Lara remake that mates are usually sourced from due to some capacity and it's just bunch of storm that gather around that area. They should be use that element to try and prove what's fact and what's fiction, but it easily deviated back into the unknown. It was real after all. We should have been never come here thing. That only changes her character because if she's having such a horrible time here and only wants out, then why does she keep going on these expeditions afterward? In fact, they make the sad ending. She is referring to her and saying these stories are more than meet and says how she's finally come to blame him. And after her heroic journey, she is not going home. She is jumping straight into the another adventure to keep that adrenaline's pumping to a decay. I understand and like the spore with a face shadow her so in this game and infatuated with her things despite everyone telling her that they are not real, but she does not let go contrary to her initial opinion in this game. The way they framed just could have been a little nicer. Like where did she look like was having fun. As far as same gameplay, they built on that mechanic from Underworld, which I think got really good by the time Shadow come out and you were able to be disguised yourself in mud. I was actually impressed with how such from Shadow was actually already in here, but the gameplay does not really start up the same. Or should it really? It had two games to build on that system and it did it. It does not make it seem bare bones or anything, but why settle? The tomes are fun because they are nice change of pace but they leave more to be desired. They seem more like things to be introduced game physics, but are totally optional and most don't have any bearing on the core gameplay anyway. They are just puzzles when I feel like the puzzle should have been a part of that core to begin with. The set pieces feel same after a while because you do cross a plan, but then it's another plan. Then it's helicopter, which most of those make sense in the context of the story. But then there is a water slide and a building's falling apart around you. It starts to seem like it's wrapping itself. Always surprises me how this was so well recorded when Uncharted was already out traces with a better story. I only ever played this and Tomb Raider Legend in the series. What brought me to this one was a 3D trailer. You need to be able to understand this one. No, they like Legend. Yes, you can drive a frog lift. I mean, what's not to be like? I am surprised it's not more like to be honest. I remember being in the theater and seeing commercial of this, showing out the Dolby Digital Audio, and then it got nominated for a game award for it. So I really try to be pay attention to it. It's kind of nifty. One of the cool things about it is that you can really immerse yourself and change the dialogue to different languages when spoken to people of different small and I only use it few terms, but I really need for future. In fact, that whole thing is impressed you inside for culture and I can really appreciate that. I don't want to be play the other two in the trilogy because the snow environment in Rise does not really grab me. And the first one just looked dull with some cool set pieces and a pic. I still kind of stand by that, but I'm glad I played this one. I mean, if I understand right, each entry builds on the last. So this should be the best one, right? This is not necessarily a good or bad thing, but to make a point of telling you just how into the game shares. One thing I did actually want to say what was in the previous game was craft manner. I have a thing for exploring characters' houses. Now whenever I play an adventure game, for some reason, I compare it to this even it's not a fish to do some of the stuff. I love the platforming and figuring out where to go. With a white marker, which you can turn on and off, then getting new item to be maneuver better. You can get the abilities so she does not slip, which is handy, but I never got it because I never wanted it. The side quests are actually fun. It feels like you do so much and then you look back to see what you missed and you say, wow, there is a lot of the content here. The map makes that very clear. You don't even have to search for it. It's right under your nose, so it does not feel like a chore to finish this mission. You can just dive into in this age so well that I got this game the same year it came out, and I'm just now making a review about it. I think about it often and have not ever properly finished it. I got to the very end and there was a mission that I did not want to do, so I just did not it. It was a main mission and I have not returned since, but trust me, I have played enough to be review. There was just that part as well. How is the story if the gameplay is so good? Like I said, it's immersive with its word, but the story is standard, and nobody was geek nothing new. The dude introduces and her son who take a pretty big part of it, but they are both cool. She make her son figure things out of himself in order to make him a good leader, and then make you want to be helped. So the characters are cool. The only glitch that I can think of a show, how the birds just kind of float, is a bit odd, but whatever, they are birds overall this game. Gets an at 8 of me, maybe even an 8 for being underrated, and I say you should give it a try. The first task is to take out the killer report in the in-house training center. I skillfully fend off the initial attack. My Lara Croft, Angelina Jolie, and I have always made a great team. A few more magazines find that the test Titan as just high-end scrap metal. Only my two teammates, Andrew Bo's adventure and Berta's Hillary, are less thrilled about cleaning up the clothes chores I have just cast. Sorry guys, but there's a price of working for the lovely Miss Croft. Having completed this level, the obligatory follows Lara's father Lord Croft has been missing for years. A rare planetary alignment is approaching that the Illuminati cult seek to be used to be main mystery over time. This required two halves of an ancient hidden artifact. Luckily, my darling finds a clock tucked away under the stair by her father, the key to be fragment of the all-seeing eye, as a luncheon clockmaker revealed. There she also happened to be cross-paths with driver Alex Maris and a certain man Fred Power, who is also very interested in the find. To finish playing Tomb Raiders, you need skill and quick reflexes on the joystick. So I practiced a little more with the bone caught in the vast English mansion's gallery. Close call apparently the Illuminati are desperate for that mysterious clock and have talks power with their travel. Unsurprisingly, he sends in a full raid secure. Well, they did not count on me. I fiercely fight after introduce. Lara is once again giving it all, but even an action heroine is powerless against such odds are practical retreat. Lara, guided by her and my instinct, and aided by the ghostly child, discovers the tomb, but Powell and his men have beaten as there, only to unwittingly walk straight into the old trap. Thanks to Lara, the first fragment is discovered nonetheless. A battle follows with stone creature, almost impervious to be bullet, so I grab the fragment and make yet another escape. So far so good, we find shelter with Monk until we contact Brower to purpose a deal. After all, he has to clock. We have the fragments, so off we go. Does the game have to be crashed right now? And silly me, I forget to save. There was still plenty of lovely to play, and countless magazines waiting to be impacted. Guys, I just have to be watched at the cinema. Grumble, game over. Finally, Lara Croft in better resolution. It was about time that this pixel beep turned into something decent. Anyone familiar with the game must admit. Angelina Jolie is the perfect competent of Lara physically. At least beyond that, it does not quite work. With the charm, the wit and coolness. The film takes itself far too seriously. Angelina Jolie seems bored, and when seen in broad daylight, the action scenes are rather run of the mill. Well, I must confess, I was dazzled after the adventure action sequences. Probably the best part of the film so far. I surrendered myself calmly to the rest. The story is shamelessly copied Illuminati Nazis all-seeing eye. Arc of the Convenient Powell, Alex Cross, Karen Allen. I love Indiana Jones too, but copying it wholesale. Data 6 scriptwriter run out of ideas into this lifted story. Random events were tossed in soda guys and a special effect studio has something to do. Nobody really knows why. For example, Stone's status suddenly come to life. But hi, it looks cool. At some point, the thread of the story unravels, and it all becomes rather unwhelmingly mediocre. Tom Raider mainly did one thing to me. It rekindled me desire for a new Indiana Jones sequel. The original Lara Croft, Angelina Jolie, the badass archaeologist who just wanted to be fulfill her father's wishes after he died. The story does play on the fantasy sci-fi genre, just a pre-warning as it's not a full-on believable action film, if there are any. The plot every 5,000 years the plans align. When this happens, the two heaviest of the triangle can be united to be controlled down. So overall, this is a save the world kind of film. Since the clock to get the first half of the triangle has fallen into the wrong hands. What is this with the accent in this film? Okay, so Angelina Jolie Pretend to be the British. I wish I was not a huge fan of her accent. But I soon got over it, and after the initial why, I did not even notice it anymore. But that was because Daniel Craig came in, looking a la white to be rough, and with some sort of the American accent. Why? This accent was no great. It was bad. Every time he spoke it irritated me. Did not really understand why he had to be American, if that's what the accent was supposed to be. Angelina Jolie being British was so much better than Daniel Craig's accent happily. He did not talk much anyway. Tom Raiders is full of action and explosive scenes. For a film what came out in the early 2000s, the graphics were not as bad as thought they would be since we have got used to the brilliant graphic now. I mean they were not amazing, but they definitely were not terrible and did not take anything away from the film in a distracting way. The action scenes are fun and enjoyable. Who does not love a good action scene from a well-known action star? And Angelina Jolie's are definitely one. The scene where go to get is lost in and escape from real life for a while. I enjoy this film. It's a good escapism film. I don't believe there is a much wrong with it other than some bad fake accent. It's a fun action film with film